So we're going to start this evening in cat-cow. Just taking a little bit of time to stretch out the chest, roll the shoulders back, lift the spine, easing our way through. Try and use this time to regulate the breath, extend it out a little bit. Finding those sticky little places in the spine, working through. And then I'm going to extend that. As you lift the spine up, press into the hands, push yourself back gently into child's pose. Inhale straight away to lift back up, drawing the belly in and the chest through. Exhale all the way back. Just an inhale up and then exhale down. No weighting, just floating through. Sometimes we do this at a slower pace and put an extra breath in there. But tonight it's just a continuous flowing backwards and forwards. See how the thighs feel and the shoulders and everything else in between. And we'll come up onto all fours. As the shoulders come over the wrists, we'll tuck the toes of the right foot under and slide that foot to the back of the mat. We'll take the foot out to the side, 90 degrees, and then immediately bring it back and swoop it all the way across to the other side and allow the hip to move out towards the left side of the mat. Slowly bring myself back in, bring the knee back down. Left leg goes back, left foot goes out 90 degrees. Keeping the body stable, I slide the big toe along the floor and cross that over to the opposite side. Press out through the heel, let myself sink a little into the side on the right. Bring myself slowly back into the center. Knees underneath, tuck the toes under, we'll come into down dog. So using all the mat, keeping the fingers towards the front, allowing ourselves to have a little walk out, see how it feels. So you always want to try and have an inch plus of room between the heels and the floor. If that isn't happening, you need to just stretch out and down dog a little bit and make it a little bit longer. The reason for that is that if your heels are on the ground, there's very little space for you to move into. If you've got a gap, it's a place to play with. Just drawing the belly in. Allow ourselves to wriggle through the spine a little bit. We'll come back onto all fours. I'm going to tuck the toes of the right foot underneath. This time we're going to press down into the opposite shin and lift the foot away from the floor, keeping it straight. Going to slowly take it out to the right. 90 degrees to the body, arms straight, shoulders straight. Bring the foot back. See if we can cross it over. Allow the foot to just land and then lift it back up. Bring it through and across. Bring that knee back down to the floor. So the toes, left leg, lift, press the shin down. That fires up the abdominals, stabilizes the hips. As you bring the foot out. Try and keep those two elbows locked as best you can. Pressing the hands down and shoulders away. And swing the foot back. Keep the hips square to the ground. Cross it over, sink out a little bit, press, 4 or 5 squeeze. Lift yourself back slowly into the center. When the knees come to the floor, we'll come back into down dog and immediately start to walk the hands towards the toes. Into our forward bend. We'll bring the hands onto the shins and lift up halfway. We'll exhale. All the way back there. Hands onto the shins, lifting up. All the way down. Lifting up. And folding through. This time we'll bring the hands onto the hips, because the elbows back. Soften the knees a little as you lift ourselves up. Now, as we arrive, we're going to take the left hand around the back and see if we can find the right elbow joint with the hand. And then start to roll that right shoulder around into some nice big juicy circles whilst we're just keeping the hand attached to that elbow joint. So it stretches out one shoulder and stretches out the chest and the shoulder on the other side. And then we'll release. Just take the hands around the opposite way. So right finds left. Big circles. Just seeing what the texture of that shoulder joint feels like, whether it's loosening up nicely, whether it's still a little bit sticky. And then we'll release. We're going to drop the chin in towards the chest. Take some neck circles. So I'm just going to let the head float towards that right shoulder. A couple along the wall. Across the ceiling. To the other side. Eyes follow down the wall, along the floor, back into the center between the toes. And taking the opposite direction. Nice long slow stretch. Just listening to muscles and the discs moving around. We'll take it one more time, original way, so lifting up and cross and into the center. This time we'll just allow the head to lift up level. Shake it out, walk into the very front of the mat. Bring hands in towards the heart, feet parallel and hip distance apart. Weight into the toes, long spine, we'll lean forwards and down to the floor. Taking a little breath and taking the right foot to the back of the mat. A twist, take the left hand up towards the sky. Bring that hand down to the floor. Now so as to drop the back heel into the center line. Hands alongside the body, got dynamic lift. We'll take the right arm up and out. So lift up into our warrior twos. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Allow the hands to come back down to the floor. We'll step back into our down dog. Lift the hips high, hands flat to the floor. We're going to come forwards into plank and let the knees come to the ground. Keeping the hips high, we're going to bend the elbows back, shoulders back, bring the chest to the floor. Slide the feet away and untuck the toes for low cobra. Lift up, keeping the bottom rib in touch with the ground. Hands barely putting any effort into the floor. Try and lengthen the legs away. The heels rolling out a little. Elbows squeezing in. That old rub your tummy, pat your head thing. It's a little bit of thinking about as you're moving through. We'll come up for the last time. As we come down, we'll bring the hands to the bottom of the ribs and peel away from the floor as we exhale. Tuck the toes underneath, we'll sit back onto the heels and let the head come down into an almost child's pose. We'll take a little breath from here and we'll lift up onto all fours, back into our down dog. We'll take the right leg to the sky, scissor, keep the hips square, draw the knee in towards the chest, and that foot through for a lunge. Up onto the fingertips, dropping the back hips, but pressing out through a strong back leg. On the exhale, stepping into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips and we lift up. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Step right a little bit further into the front of the mat if you've traveled like I did. Exhale forwards, draw the belly in and down. Left leg back into a lunge. Right hand lifts into the twist. Draw the knee in towards the body a little. Hands come down. Fingertips, we drop the back heel in. Center line for warrior two. Hands alongside. Left arm lifts us up. Cartwheel open. Hands into the heart. Down to the floor. Step it back. Down dog and adjust. Come forward into plank again. Knees to the floor. Elbows back, chest down. Slide the feet away. Inhale. Low cobras as we did before. Heels roll out. Thighs lengthen. Inhale up. Enjoy that little bit of expansion in the belly to help with the lift. Try and squeeze the elbows together as you lift up as well. Just to encourage the shoulder blades to meet. Lift last time. And then bring the hands to the bottom of the ribs. Press away. Tuck the toes underneath. We're back down into that mini child's pose. Come up onto all fours, roll the shoulders back, lift the knees and into down dog. The scissor, the left leg high, draw the knee into chest, bring the foot through, into the lunge, drawing the chest forwards, push off the back toes, forward fold. Hands onto the hips as we breathe in and exhale on the way up. Then standing into the front of the mat. So those are the easy ones to warm up. Hands into the heart. Exhaling down. Taking the breath, taking the right foot back into lunge. We're going to come into high crescent and tower lunge. So we're going to draw the hands alongside the body. Allow the hands to lengthen forwards. We're going to lift all the way up into vertical. Take one breath at the top. And then lengthen back out halfway, palms face in, fingers stretch out, shoulders lift a little bit, back leg is strong and active. We'll take one more breath here and bring the hands to the floor as we exhale. Drop the heel in and bring ourselves into warrior two. Right arm lifts into that dynamic lift. Hands come into the heart and we're down to the floor. Stepping back into down dog. And adjust. Come into plank for half plank, pushing forwards on the tippy toes. Boot laces down, up dog. Allow ourselves to lift, down dog. Scissor the right leg, knee to the chest, foot comes through, lunge, press off the toes, forward bend. Hands onto the hips and we lift up. Hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Left leg back, hands alongside the body. Put those arms out, lift the entire body up. Breath at the top. Lengthen out halfway. Draw the belly in, strong arms and fingers stretching. One more breath, down to the floor. Down dog. Into our plank. Half plank. Up dog. Down dog. The scissor the left. Lean towards the chest. Exhale it into the lunge. Breath. And step it forwards as you exhale. Hands onto the hips. And we'll lift up. Hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Right foot back. Left hand opens into the twist. Hands come down to the floor. We step back into down dog. We come forwards into plank. Knees to the floor. Elbows bench. Chest down. Slide the feet away. Untuck the toes. Inhale. One cobra up. Exhale. Hands to the bottom of the ribs. Press back. Tuck the toes underneath. Keep the knees close together. Head to the ground. Take a breath, press down into the hands, try and lift the knees away from the floor into your down dog. Right leg lifts into the scissor, knee into the chest, foot comes through, lunge it into the front of the mat for that forward fold, hands come onto the hips, knees soft as ever, hands into the heart. Second side, exhaling down. Left foot back. We open into the right foot, a twist. Hands come to the floor. Back foot drops in. We open up into our warrior two. Hands into the heart and down to the floor. Stepping it back into our down dog. Float into the plank. Let the knees come to the floor, chest to the ground, slide the feet away. One low cobra. Exhale it down. Hands to the bottom of the ribs, shoulders back, we press. Toes tucked under, knees together. Head to the floor. Hands pressed down, knees lift all the way to down dog. Left leg scissors. Lean towards the chest and foot through for lunge. Take a breath, step it through. Hands onto the hips and we lift. Can we step into the front of the mat? Hands into the heart. Exhale down. Right foot back. Take a little breath, drop the heel in. Hands alongside the body. Right arm lifts, dynamic lift up. Hands into the heart. Going down to the floor. This time we're stepping back into plank. Taking the feet over to a left side plank. Allow yourself to lift the hips high. Hands come down. Take a little breath. Legs go to the right. Left hand lifts. We're back. Take a little breath into plank, half plank. Up dog. Down dog. Right leg lifts. Knee into chest. Lunge through. Fingertips press into that fold. Hands onto the hips and we lift up. Side. Down. Left leg back. We'll open into warrior two. Hands into the heart. Down to the floor. Step it into plank. Feet to the left. Strong legs, hips lift. Come back. Feet over to the right. Hands back. From the plank, half plank. Up dog. Down dog. Left leg lifts. Knee to the chest and foot comes through. Back into that fold, front of the mat. Hands onto the hips, we lift. Hands into the heart. And exhale down. Hands onto the hips. Long spine, lift. Hands into the heart. We'll take it into a little back bend. Into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Taking a breath. Right foot to the back of the mat. Going to drop the heel in. Let ourselves lift into warrior two. So a little dynamic lift to come up. Right, as we arrive, we'll take the hands behind the back, ready for humble warrior. We'll turn the chest, draw the hands towards the back foot, and the thigh out, sorry, tenting the body out over that thigh to start with. Find your balance. Maybe start to squeeze the shoulder blades together and lift the hands towards the sky. Slide your body onto the inside of the thigh. And with luck, your shoulder kind of acts as a, on the thigh or the knee, there's a little bit of a shelf there. So you just find a little place to hold yourself so it's really comfy. Draw the belly in. Make sure the groins are over center line of the mat. It's easy for your bum to hang out. In this case, it will be to the left side. And trying to let the hands drift over towards the front of the mat. So encourage them to move in that direction. See what you have available. And then bring the hands back down onto the hips. Allow yourself to spin the back heel, take a little breath, and step into a forward fold. And bring the hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift up. Hands coming towards the heart. Take a breath. Exhale down to the floor. Now taking that left foot back, dropping the heel in, and opening into our warrior two. The hands come behind. Belly draws in, the tailbone goes down a little bit. Then you rotate the chest and the hips, keeping the back foot anchored. We lengthen out, find our balance. Squeeze the shoulder blades together as we start to lift the hands, let the body slide in. Bring the hands down to the floor. Spin the back heel into a lunge. Take a breath. Step into that forward bend. Hands come onto the hips and we're able to lift up. Hands into the heart. We exhale down to the floor. Right foot goes back, and this time we're going to drop the back knee down onto the ground. And take a little breath. Make sure the right hand is flat to the floor, knee is over ankle. We'll take the left hand forward, lift up. Open the chest to the side, squeeze the knee in towards the chest. Take the hand towards the back of the mat. Then turn your chest down towards the floor. Float the arms forwards again. So we're just going to windmill that through. Trying to press down through the bottom hand. And keep that shoulder stable that we're resting on. Coming up for number 3. The knee draws in towards the body. Comes forward. It's going to want to pop out to the side. So you have to kind of work against it a little bit. 4. And 5. Bring the hands to the floor, onto the fingertips. Lift the back knee as you tuck the toes under, drop the heel in, warrior twos again. Right arm comes forwards and we lift up. Hands into the heart, down to the floor. Spin the back heel, step into the fold. Hands onto the hips and we lift up. Hands into the heart, breath in. Exhale again down to the floor. Taking the left leg back into lunge. Dropping the back knee down gently. Making sure we get a good connection with that left hand on the floor. Right arm comes forwards and we twist. Squeeze the knee in. Hand all the way back. Slow breath. Chest turns down to the floor. Lift up again. Press down into that bottom hand. Get as much height as we can. And float it round. We've already lost count. Not sure if that was 2 or 3. So we'll call it 2. We'll call this number 3. Off hands off. I'll find out when I look back at the recording. 4. And 5. Up onto the fingertips, lifting the back knee. Taking a little breath, dropping the heel in. Warrior 2 to open up. Hands into the heart, down to the floor. Spin the back heel, long body. Step it into the front of the mat. Hands on the hips and lift up. Hands into the heart, close your eyes. Mountain pose. Those toes stretch. So open your eyes, just shake it out a little bit. You come back to kind of the midpoint of your mat. Take a little breath. When I take a breath, we're going to take the block actually and just place that behind the heels. And then lift the heels onto the block. But you want your toes and your knees and your hips all pointing in the same direction forwards. Now take a little breath and bring the hands out in front. So you've probably done this before. Soften the knees. And let the knees go forwards. Come down slow. Give the knee joints a little bit of a chance to kind of get used to the idea of where they're going to go. We only want to bring the thighs really down parallel to the ground. And try and keep the knees the same distance apart as the feet. And then press back down again to let ourselves come back up. So there's no real respite there. I'm going to come back down again. Lean forward as little as possible. Drive through the legs. Try and keep the drive going evenly through each leg. You come down again. Several breaths. Feeding our way in. Drive back up. Good news is we've got time for one more. We're going to let the hands come down. Whew, step off the block. We'll just move the block out to the side. Bring the feet back into the center. Okay, I'm going to have the feet about hip distance apart. Hands into the heart. Now I'm going to soften the knees over the toes. Take a little weight. I'm going to bring the weight into my right foot. Slowly lift the left foot away from the ground. I'm going to try and keep the body long. Start to hinge at the hips and take the left foot back down what I believe is the center line of the mat. Now I want to get to a point where the leg is stretched out completely. The body is lengthened out completely. And then if I'm able to, I'm going to start to reach the hands forward, palms facing in, shoulder distance apart. I'm going to soften, bring everything back. Allow myself to place the foot down to the floor. One leg to play with. Allow yourself to soften the knees. Allow yourself to take the weight into the left. Right leg lifts. Allow yourself to spot in front of the floor. And then as you slowly tilt forwards, the eyes run down the mat towards you. As you lengthen that back leg out as high as you can manage, as straight as you can manage, hips as square as you can manage. Take the opportunity to lengthen the arms out. Oops, lost that in the end. Take a little breath, soften the knee and bring the foot back down to the floor. Hopefully you're in a standing position, not like me. It's been a long week. Hands in towards the heart, take your breath in and exhale down to the floor. Hold it in nicely. Walk the fingers into the front of the mat. Walk the toes back into your down dog. Take a little breath and come forwards into plank for half plank to up dog. Roll the shoulders back. Bring the feet onto the center line of the mat. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. You want to take pigeon pose. You want to come into plank and take the knee to the outside of the elbow on the left side. Bring the heel in and then hold the heel up as we hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can tell I'm enjoying it as well. Slide the back foot away. Hips sink as low as you can. And come up onto the fingertips. Breathe it in. Roll the shoulders back. There's about a little bit of lengthening out through the back leg, a little bit of pressing the shin and the knee down to the floor, a little bit of drawing the belly in. I'll bring the hands to the floor, take the toe on the back foot, lift the hips, then the knee, step it back into down dog. It's handy. It gives me a chance to get rid of that cramp in my calf. It's just stretching it out. It'll take a little while to do that. Otherwise, I might be garbling my way through the rest of the class more than I normally do. Okay, I think we're ready. Shaking off. So the right knee comes in towards the elbow. Tap, lock it in. Bring the heel in and lift the heel as high as you can for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sink it down. Walk the back foot out. Hips get low. Come up onto the fingertips. Remember that back foot just lengthening out a little bit. You're going to feel the buttock working, lifting just a fraction as you get the leg to work. Otherwise, it's just a very soft, inactive glute. We want it to fire up. So we've got both sides working together. Hands down to the floor again. So it's on the back foot, lift the knee, and bring ourselves back into down dog. This time I'm going to take the down dog feet wide as the mat. With the hands in until the heels are flat to the ground with straight legs and straight arms. And the hips lift as high as you can to draw the belly in. Take a few breaths there, just getting used to the idea of this being the position we're lifting from. Trying to widen those shoulders out a little bit. Now I'm going to take it into a twist, taking the left hand across to the right ankle, turning the body under. Same on the opposite side. Continuing to press those heels in the floor, continuing to lift the hips up, letting the body just roll itself around. One more breath. And arms to the floor. Walk the mat towards the front of the mat to regular standard size down dog. And bring yourself into a plank and let your knees come down to the ground. We're going to take a pivot on the knees and just take them out to the side. Let ourselves come back onto our bottoms. Feet together, just draw the flesh out a little bit. We're into Dandasana. We're trying to let those shoulders relax out a little bit. Hands on the floor or fingertips by the side. Again, just a little pause to catch our breath. I'm flexing the toes towards myself, pressing the thighs away a little bit, drawing the abdominals in and trying to sit as tall as I can. Work our way into reverse tabletop. So I'm going to take a little breath and take the hands a fraction behind, but they're shoulder distance apart. Now it's your choice whether your fingertips point forwards, which is kind of the textbook version that we see, or the hands out to the side, or even the opposite way around. To your wrists and shoulders and your elbows, find a comfortable place that you can lift from. You're going to take a little breath and allow the soles of the feet to come together and onto the floor with the feet together. Squeezing the knees just a little in towards the center line. You're going to take a little breath and lift the bottom off the ground and then float the bottom towards the heels until it feels like the knees are directly over the heels. You're going to lift the hips up towards the sky, keeping the chin in towards the chest. Going to float back down, hover off the ground. Slowly come back, pivot on the heels, point the toes forwards, lean as far forward as you can, hinging from the hips. And bring yourself back forwards. So keep the bottom off the ground continually. Squeeze the thighs together as we lift up. You'll feel the difference in your butt as to if you do that with your knees apart. You pivot, lean forwards, come through, lift, squeeze the thighs, come down, and flow back. Coming forwards. 2 more. Last one. back down to the ground. We'll take the hands and place the fingers, just see if we can revive those wrists a little bit by rolling them around. Just shake that out a little bit. We'll take the block again and just place that underneath the bar. Let ourselves hoist ourselves back up. And just wriggle out the flesh a little bit as well. So I'm going to start with drawing my left leg in. So we start with the feet together, so they're touching on the center line. And I'm going to bring the left foot in. I'm going to follow it down the center line. And I'm actually going to use the hands around the front of the shin to pull the knee in towards me a little bit, but also to pull myself forwards and lift up and turn the abdominal muscles up. And try and point the toes away, so I'm pivoting on the heel of the right leg and trying to keep the body as upright as I can. I'm going to inhale and see if I can take the heel away from the floor and then let it back down. Inhale, slow lift, and back down, slow. So avoid trying to get that jerky kind of fleck of the leg up and avoid bouncing down and letting go completely. We try to come down with control. That's 3. The toes pointed out. 4. Feeling that very much in the center of that front thigh. 5. One more. Try not to lean back too much as we do. So the legs back out. That'll thigh a little bit of a shake. Bring the right foot in. Point the toes away. Tilt the pelvis forwards. Get that nice long space in the spine and lift the foot forward. 1 breath in and 1 breath out. That's 1. We lift again and down. 2, 3, 4, 5. Getting a little sticky. 6. And back down. Woo. Allow yourself to shake out the legs a little bit. Bring across of the ankles. Heels in towards the body. Roll over and just move your block out of the way. Back into hands on the front of the mat. Shoulders over the wrist, toes tuck under, and we're back into our famous down dog. We're going to take a little breath from there. Feet are about hip distance apart. We'll draw the left knee in towards the chest and bring that through, knee in towards the nose. Go back into down dog, keeping the knee in towards the chest. Come forwards again. Tap back to the tricep. Into our down dog. Keep the knee in. Twist. Tap the right elbow. Come back. Foot to the floor. Right leg comes in. Forwards, knee to nose. And back. Outside to the tricep. Right side. And back. Into the twist. Tap left. Back into down dog. Left leg in through the center. And back to the outer tricep. Tap. And back. And twist it under. Tap. And back. Foot to the floor. Last side. Right leg in. Through to the chest. Back. Tap tricep. So a little higher than the elbow. Tap the elbow. A little lower. Crossing over. Back down to the floor with the feet. Whew. Knees to the floor. Sit back onto the heels and just shake out those arms. Now float the arms open. Take a surface stretch. I'm going to take the right arm across. Draw around that deltoid a little bit. Back to the shoulder blades. Same with the opposite side. Bring it across. Take some really deep, long breaths. Slow exhales. Slow the heart rate down. Get the temperature to come out of the body a little bit, assuming that you're as warm as I am. And bring the hands together and interlace, tucking the little finger underneath. We're going to try and bring that right up to the front of the mat. Elbows about shoulder distance apart. Going to lift up and bring the shoulders over the top of the elbows, and then lengthen the legs away and take them out to the corner edges of the mat as I look through. And then try and bring my hips to the same height as my shoulders. And breathe. Just pressing out through the heels. Pressing down into those forearms to just literally stretch the shoulders away from the floor. The more you do that, the higher you can have your hips. The easier it is to get that line back to your heels. Oh. Sit back onto the heels again. So to roll those shoulders around a few times, each direction. We come back down onto the elbows. This time, hands are parallel, forearms are parallel. Now take a little breath and press away from the floor. Take one foot back at a time. And then I'm going to take my left hand, bring it underneath or just in front of the right elbow as I come into side plank on the elbow. So this is my left forearm going across and pressing the shoulder away. And you want to make sure that your elbow isn't too far forward or too far back. It needs to be really underneath the shoulder to keep it stable, and then you can lift that top arm up. Legs are pressing down into the floor as well, doing their bit. They're nice and straight, fully engaged. We'll come back, cross over the forearms, take the feet back into steady position, then flick them over. Allow ourselves to lift and lengthen. So one foot is flat to the floor, hands to be my top leg, bottom leg and side onto the foot, and pressing that down into the floor with everything I've got, to be perfectly honest. Last breath. Oh, back down to the elbows, knees to the floor, ooh, belly to the floor. Hands come underneath the shoulders. And we're into low cobras. Relax one. As you come down, roll onto whichever side you like to, so you can draw your knees in towards your body. Push your hands to press down into the floor. Allow yourself to spin around gently. And take a little breath from there. Use the hands behind. And roll back down to the floor. And take the block underneath the back of the head. The arms come out wide. I'll walk the feet in towards the buttocks on the center line. Take a little breath, and I'm going to slowly let the legs roll over towards my right side and head to the left. Shoulders on the ground. This one I'm going to let relax out. The knees high. Cross them over to the side. Just moving that out from a previous class. Again, feeling that be very loose. Slowly bring the knees back up. As we do, we're going to take the knees a little closer in towards the body and squeeze the thighs and the heels together. I'm going to roll gently over towards my right side, but I'm going to avoid letting the knees or the feet touch the floor, but I'll take it as low as I dare. And then I'll press into the right arm a little bit to help lift the body back up and take it across the other side. So again, getting close, but not actually touching. You still want to keep the thighs pressing together. So the restriction might not be where you can take the bottom leg to, but how low you can go and keep the top leg touching. It's only where you perceive yourself to be close to the floor. So you could be thinking you're half an inch away and you're 3 inches away, or you could be the other way around, thinking you're 3 inches away and you're half an inch. And since we've got our eyes closed and we're not looking, we will never know. We'll take it one more time to each side. Squeezing those thighs together as we lift back. Keeping them held together as you roll over. We'll come back into the center. And allow ourselves to roll it out towards the right. Keeping the knees just that little bit off the floor. Now keep the shoulders on the ground and see if you can lengthen your legs out. The feet flexed, the thighs pressing together. And then draw the knees back into the bend and towards the body and lift up. So pressing down through the arm, in this case it would be the left side we go to. The legs are extended out and they're squeezing the thighs together. Oops, gonna run out of room there. The shoulders on the ground. And we'll draw the knees in towards the center. You take the hands around the right shin and lengthen the left leg center line of the mat. And let that right knee travel as you draw it in towards the body, towards the armpit on the right side. And we release. Bring the foot to the floor on the center line. Slide the left leg in and change over. Slide the leg down the center line. Taking a breath. And as the exhale, knee travels out. Bottom long leg presses away. And then we release. Bring everything back again. I'm going to take a little hug. So I'm crossing the ankles, bringing the chin in towards the chest, wrapping the knees in deep, getting a little wriggle on that spine. And I'm able to release. Let the feet to the floor, close to the bottom. Get the spine nice and flat and safe first. The hands out to the side. And then take the feet out to the corner edges. So try and slide the heels along the mat. I know they're sticky, and by design, I don't really want you to slide along, but do your best. Allow the legs to roll out, palms up towards the sky, shoulders relaxed, jaw softened and spine long. And just breathe, slowing it down, relaxing by layers as you breathe out. Begin to stretch those fingers and toes. Resting my ankles a little. Breathe a little deep. Use that energy and connection to stretch out in any way that feels good. And then allow yourself to slide the heels back in towards you. Give yourself the gentlest of hugs. Spine flat to the ground if you can. Now we'll roll gently onto our right side, keeping the knees in. Turn the chest down towards the floor. Pressing the hands into the ground as we breathe in. Use the exhale to smoothly lift yourself back up. Bring yourself into a seated posture of choice. Sitting tall, hands into the heart, taking the breath in. On the exhale, chin drops, the belly draws to the spine, and we simply bow to the floor, sealing our practice. Inhaling, we slowly lift back up. Head lifts, eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you on the mat again soon.